But first, let's bring in two of our regular panellists, commentator and businesswoman Prue McSween and New South Wales Liberal Senator Hollie Hughes. Ladies, I'm sorry to tell you, major news, Richo has had a gut full of your strident views and he's resigned in disgust.
Oh, you're kidding me. I never took him for being a wimp.
No, he's just having a family break up north. I'm only joshing, all right?
Oh, we miss him. I wanted to have a go at him tonight.
Fantastic. Hasn't the verdict in the Kyle Rittenhouse double murder trial created drama? He's gone to a violent BLM rally armed with a semi-automatic rifle last year, and when he's set upon by protesters, he was clearly attacked. He kills two of them, he says in self-defence, and the jury agreed. Any surprise, Prue?
No, not at all. I mean, first of all, this vigilantism that they have over there is ridiculous, but so is their gun laws. And while they continue to allow people to bear arms, you're going to have, scenarios like this. Clearly, his case, from what I've seen and read, was pretty cut and dried. I think it was self-defence. But now we've got the usual suspects, whether it be the activists, the BLMers, the people who've got chip on their shoulders are going to now use this as an excuse to really create mayhem. America is insane. We know that. Until they get rid of those gun laws, and they never will, it's going to be this kind of thing happening all the time. Yep. It's terrible.
Now, Hollie, we're at least 4 months away from a federal election, and already some ALP figures are using social media to incite the First Fear campaign. They're sharing video and posts claiming that a Morrison government will force pensioners onto this cashless card system, all of which has been denied by government MPs 1,000 times. I guess it's a little bit more original than another Mediscare.
Look, this isn't a fear campaign. This is an out-and-out lie, and it needs to be called out for what it is. Because not only does the Morrison government have no intention of putting pensioners on the cashless debit card, there was actually an amendment put out by Senator Rex Patrick that ensured pensioners could not be forced to go on the cashless debit card. Now, that amendment was supported by, obviously, Senator Patrick and the Coalition. Labor and the Greens voted against it. Labor voted to open the door to putting pensioners on the cashless debit card. It is an out-and-out lie. It is absolutely based in no truth whatsoever. They've obviously never spoken to any of the people that are actually on the cashless debit card. I sit on an inquiry, a number of inquiries that have looked at this. It's in 5 communities. And when you go and speak to these communities where the cashless debit card is used, overwhelmingly, it is supported. It actually removes the use of what they call humbugging and people being harassed for cash out of their welfare payments. And it ensures that children are getting access to food as well as education supplies and clothing rather than that money, as I said, being humbugged or used for items such as alcohols and cigarettes. So it's an out-and-out lie. It needs to be called out for what it is. But on top of that, we need to stop scaring pensioners, and that's what this is aimed at. It's going to scare people unnecessarily. It is going to make them feel like they're under pressure for not only something that's an out-and-out lie, for something that the Labor Party themselves voted against in the Senate to keep the door open on. So maybe we need to look at who might be wanting to put pensioners on these sort of welfare models into the future.
Now, here's a red-hot story for you, Prue, which I plucked from the Launceston Examiner, by the way. A dot painting by a Tasmanian artist hanging in art studios in Deloran, northern Tasmania, has been taken down and stored away because they had complaints from Aboriginal people. The problem was the artist was not Indigenous. Should that really make any difference? It's art. Should my background rule me out of painting something in a particular style?
You're trying to get me into trouble again, aren't you? No, of course. I thought you were a mate of mine. I have to say, look, art is in the eye of the beholder. I look at some art and I think you've got to be kidding. You've had 20 grogs and, you've happened to lie in some paint and flick it on a canvas. We've seen over the years, you have people like Van Gogh, who was influenced by Rembrandt.
Yes.
Matisse by Manet.
Yes.
I mean, this is what happens in art. There is an influence. Now, this woman is saying this is her style. Look, No
And it's a
one
bit of
wants
an
to offend
amalgam too,
anyone.
Prue. It's a bit of an amalgam of dot painting maybe, but not all of it.
No, exactly. It is her artistic style. We don't want offence. We don't want people. I suspect that the gallery that may have actually complained about this was just looking after its own interests,
You might be
because
right.
that was the gallery that sells the Indigenous art and didn't like any competition.
Exactly.
And it's so easy to call these people out. So, look, I think it's sad that we've got to this stage where people can't just express themselves somehow, and then they have this ridiculous nonsense going on.
Now, finally, Hollie, there's been so much covered about the Tim Payne sexting scandal. He's removed himself from the captaincy of the Australian cricket team. But about an hour and a half ago, the Herald Sun in Melbourne revealed that Payne's brother-in-law, so his sister's husband, was forced out of cricket at Tasmania because he too was sexting the same woman. What an incestuous web this is.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting Christmas at their place, you think?
You're not wrong.
Oh, my God.
I mean, that could be a little bit uncomfortable around the Christmas ham, but look, I got to say, I don't understand it. I appreciate that in this new world online, apparently this is sort of a thing amongst the younger generation. I'm not quite sure it's something I fully understand, but when it is done without consent, when those sorts of images are sent to people without sort of a mutual chat occurring, I guess you could say, it is inappropriate. Out of line, and it is crossing a consent line. But I got to say, look, I'm not the biggest cricket fan in the world, but I do know who a lot of our previous cricket captains have been. I've never even heard of this guy, so he must have been doing that good a job as a captain.
I've got to run. Senator Hollie Hughes, Prue McSween, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Smithy.